Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Tuesday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky, 30 points from Austin Reaves, 14 dimes from Luka Dončić, and the Lakers cruise past San Antonio at the Crypt on Tuesday. Things are looking good. That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, sometimes on weekends, no matter how rare you get your podcast. This one's always free. And of course, Locked On Lakers on YouTube, where many people are watching right this very second. It's where over 34,000 subscribers. Andy, are all very pleased, I think, with what happened on the floor at the Crypt Monday night, 125-109, the final score there. And I think given what we saw on Sunday, followed up with what we saw on Monday, 30 points from Austin Reaves, 14 dimes from Luka Dončić, who found a way to contribute despite a very bad shooting night, 5 of 20 from the floor. Contributions up and down the roster yet again. If there was any question, Andy, that the Lakers' 4-game losing streak was really due to personnel and the lack thereof, as opposed to something fundamentally flawed with the team, that they got back Dorian Finney-Smith, Luka, Jackson Hayes, and Gabe Vincent immediately started playing like they were before, even with LeBron out, even with Rui out. I think that should settle anybody down. And, just a very professional effort Monday night, low turnover, high assists, control the game. I was impressed.
I'll be honest. I actually think a lot of those worries should have been subsided by the way they played against Denver, that shorthanded, because they really pushed the Nuggets in that game. Like, I know Denver started out for maybe the first 12 to 15 minutes in F around and find out mode. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh man, we're finding out. And from there, they were playing much harder, but the Lakers were largely staying with them punch for punch. And that was missing 6 at minimum playoff rotation players and Trey Jemison the third. Like those are really difficult circumstances, other than Milwaukee, where just the matchup killed them again because of who they were missing. And Brooklyn was a bad night. Like, Brooklyn was a genuinely disappointing night, but even quality teams have disappointing nights. You and I have covered up close 3 championship teams between 2009 and now. Those teams were all exceptional, hence they won a title. They all had stinkers of nights too. Like, I mean, this happens. I don't care, other than maybe like the 72-10 Warriors, they all have off nights, but it's been pretty clear for a while this team is very good. And other than one element of it that we will get into over the course of the show, the professionalism of this game jumped out at me. It felt like they were very aware of, it's the second end of a back-to-back. We've had a long road trip. We've got another back-to-back coming up that's going to be very difficult starting Wednesday. We're still down a few guys. San Antonio is missing their 2 best players, no Wembanyama, no De'Aaron Fox. We're going to control this game, and we're mostly going to be on our P's and Q's with the a couple of exceptions, but we are not going to bust our ass in this game if we don't have to, and we're going to do mostly the right things to prevent us from having to.
I think, and I want to get to, in the next segment, I want to get into what I'm seeing kind of in regards to what you're talking about there. Like, what became apparent to me over these last couple of games. I mean, the Denver game to some degree, but really over these last 2, when more players were back and more guys were I think you learned about the character of the team in significant ways in Denver. In terms of the day-to-day functioning of like guys in their roles, the last 2 games have been much more instructive, with more players back and everyone getting closer to what they're being asked to do with guys at full strength. But let's talk first about Reeves and Luka, because it's one of these games. We talked about it Sunday where JJ said, like, don't look at just the box score and decide how people played. Because Jordan Goodwin, for example, put up very little by way of counting stats, but was instrumental in limiting Devin Booker in Sunday's game. Luka, I'm not trying to sugarcoat this and say this was like a put the box score up on your refrigerator kind of game for him, because clearly it wasn't. But 5 of 20 shooting, you look at that and you might say Luka had a terrible game. And that to me wouldn't quite show the influence that he had in terms of getting the Lakers so many open shots. I mean, so many open shots. He did not shoot the ball well. He took some ill-advised threes, whatever, but his impact on the offense was still very positive. So we'll talk about Luka first, and then we'll get to Reeves.
Yeah, there was a moment, I want to say it was in the third quarter, where Keldon Johnson soft doubled over to Luka around the arc, and he ended up leaving Austin Reaves, who was beyond playing well in this game. He was shooting well in this game. The 30 points that he had, 12 of 21 from the field, 5 of 13 from behind the arc. And Austin's been in a groove lately. And this is a game where Luka was not shooting well, but was playmaking at a high level, that Keldon Johnson still doubled essentially off Austin to put another body on Luka, which led to Luka easily getting the ball to Austin. Austin having a wide open three, which he buried. There was a point during the broadcast where Stu Lance pointed out that, the Spurs weren't seemingly aware that this was a night Luka wasn't shooting well, or I was thinking, or they are aware, but that's just the power of a player like Luka.
Yes.
This happens with LeBron. We covered Kobe for 10 years. There would be games, or hell, even times post Achilles with Kobe, where Kobe was at that point a shell of himself physically. He would still draw doubles.
It's muscle memory.
But also
particularly with Luka, to some degree, like if you want to keep him shooting poorly, those doubles kind of make sense because they prevent him from getting the basket. It might be the thing that keeps him from just putting the ball on the floor, getting the line. Because it took him, almost all of his offense on Monday night came at the free throw line, because he was still able to get there. I'm looking back up. I think it was 13 times. So yeah, it was 10 of 13 from the line, 1 of 7 from 3-point range, 5 of 20 from the floor. But how did he finish with 21 points? Well, he got the line 13 times. And if you don't send those doubles, that's where he goes. He goes there anyway, but he's really going to go there if you don't send the doubles. So but I think this is part of the confidence that the team has, is they've struggled without LeBron over the last couple seasons, because not only does he perform certain functions in terms of just organizing the offense, opening up shots, creating things for other people, there is a confidence that you play with when you have one of those dudes. And there are, I don't know, 7 or 8 of them around the league that that, okay, like it's him, it's Shea now, it's I think Durant is still one of those guys, and Curry and whatever.
Jokic.
I'm going to name all of them, but like you have that lift.
But
and
here's
Luka
the thing,
is
though.
One of those dudes.
Luka is one of those dudes. LeBron is one of those dudes. And all the guys that we named, they all start possessions with the ball. And this is a big difference between Luka and AD. And AD is an elite center in the league. He is, I've said many times.
Elite power forward in the league.
Well, now that he's in Dallas, obviously. But he is one of the elite players in the league. And I said last year many times, I thought Anthony Davis was the best two-way player in the league last year. But he does not have the same fear factor in all spots all over the floor. he'll still have gravity. I mean, like Anthony Davis has never been
For sure.
a particularly good 3-point shooter, but because he's Anthony Davis, he'll never be just left alone to take those shots. Like you're going to guard him.
Right, but he also moves. He has gravity on the interior. He moves.
Right.
He moves players around the floor in terms of defenses.
Sure, but it's not the same way though that all of these other guys who start possessions do. Like the point I was getting at with AD is even if you guard him if for no other reason out of muscle memory when he's out in the corner or he's above the break, you may guard him, but you don't fear him taking that shot. You can't leave him alone because in your mind he's Anthony Davis.
Correct.
With Luka and LeBron, Steph, Jokic, Shea, Giannis, those level of players, they scare the living bleep out of you whenever you have the ball. And that's the power of Luka in that one possession. Because again, you're leaving Austin Reaves, who has been on one for like a week and was on one in this game, and they left him wide open.
So I want to talk more about this. I want to talk more about what I'm seeing and get your feeling about the way the rotation looks and why I think it should make Lakers fans extremely confident going forward. So we'll get to all of that stuff. And of course, Austin's great night. We'll get to that next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Hungry Root. When it comes to grocery shopping, meal planning, got an ongoing problem. Time between work, life, childcare, trying to eat healthier. Like you end up feeling stressed about your meals and you go to the grocery store, you end up buying things you didn't need. You end up with no time to cook the stuff, even if it was the stuff you needed, and sticking to health goals. And I really do try to eat super clean. That becomes a struggle. But then everything changed when I discovered Hungry Root. Like, it's a game changer. It's the easiest way to eat healthy without stress. It's like having a personal shopper and a nutritionist all in one. They take care of the grocery shopping. They recommend meals and groceries based on my taste, health goals. You can have super in the weeds options like anti-inflammatory, gluten-free, whatever. All the meals are ready, 15 minutes or less. Like they are simple. I happen to be a good cook, but even if you have no idea what you're doing in the kitchen, you can make this stuff. You're going to love Hungry Root as much as I do. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box and a free item in every box for life. Just go to hungryroot.com/lockedonnba. Use the code LockedOnNBA. That's hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA, code LockedOnNBA for 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA, code LockedOnNBA. Don't miss out.
Locked On Lakers also brought to you by Monarch Money. You ever check your bank account? You wonder where'd all the money go? And it's, maybe it's eating out, it's shopping online, it's shopping in person, it's entertainment, it's whatever, it's gas, it's all the stuff that you buy day to day. It becomes very easy to lose track of your cash. And that's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO, it's Chief Financial Officer, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. And it's more than a budgeting app. And this is important. You can't fix what you can't see. And so what Monarch Money provides you is a command center, a dashboard that gives you full visibility into all your accounts, all your investments, all your spending, all in one place. So you can actually see what you're doing and what you should be doing, where that money is going. You can manage your money and really build wealth that way. I am a huge fan of dashboards like these as a way to get control over your finances and really understand where your money is going and how it can work better for you. So you take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LockedOnNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LockedOnNBA for half off your first year. Before we get to Reeves, I just want your thoughts here. What I'm seeing, particularly yesterday, Sunday afternoon, if you're listening to the audio on Tuesday morning, and then again on Monday night, the Lakers role players, it's going to look better on some nights than others. It's almost always going to look better at home than it will on the road and stuff like that. But the level of confidence that those guys are playing with, and I think Jackson Hayes is like the best example of it, but you see it with Vincent, you see it with DFS when he's going right. Everybody, they all feel from the outside looking in like a bunch of guys who understand exactly what they're supposed to be doing and are very confident in being able to execute on those things. It doesn't seem like anybody's being stretched outside their comfort zone. And it also seems like everybody really understands their assignment. And I think that is a testament to the way the coaching staff has been able to work things over the course of the year.
It's also a roster that has increasingly over the course of this year felt more like the one JJ Redick wants, like that he envisions for winning basketball. We talked more earlier in the season at times about JJ seemingly playing the system that he wanted or the style that he wanted, as opposed to, at least at times, the players that he had, and how sometimes it wasn't always conducive. This feels exactly like the roster that JJ wants. Like you mentioned, DFS, 4 of 8 from behind the arc, 5 of 12 overall for 15 points. Jordan Goodwin also had 15 points. The two of them combined for 7 threes. But when DFS is hitting shots, like this is before even Rui gets back, or much less LeBron. But when DFS is hitting shots, the offense opens up just in and of itself. Like he's supposed to be like the best 3-and-D player on the team. And, he's been starting to pick up a little bit, but there's been a pronounced slump going on for a while. Tonight, you saw a much better version of it, and also why it matters. Like it's important for all of those guys to be doing the things they're supposed to their responsibilities, because all of it affects each other. We've talked about the difference Jackson Hayes being back provides. Like there are things that other guys on this roster cannot do that Jackson does. And until you have him available to do it, things just don't fire on all cylinders. But just the ability for Jackson to create cheap points, for lack of a better way of putting it, easy points, and just somebody that you have to account for rolling, it opens up so many other things in this offense.
I think he's improved. I think it is
a lot.
It diminishes what he does to just say, oh, he's being coach proof. He's in a perfect situation. The Lakers have tailored their coaching. I think all of that is true.
Or to reduce it to just Luka arrived and all of a sudden he turned Jackson into Derek Lively II. Hayes was playing well before Luka arrived.
He has improved. Redick talked about it after Sunday's game, at length talking about Jackson, about his improved decision-making, his improved understanding. And again, I think some of this is coaching. I think it's giving him steadiness and a context and regularity in what he's being asked to do, and finding a role that really is well suited. The guy has not had a ton of stability over the course of his career. He came from New Orleans. It's not exactly a bastion of basketball stability. It diminishes
post AD New Orleans. Like he was drafted with one of the picks that the Lakers sent to New Orleans. Like I'm saying that just so you know, like he didn't even have the benefit of playing with AD during that time in New Orleans.
And so I don't want to say that he hasn't improved, because he has. You saw there were a couple of really nice plays where, Sunday and today, where he finishes around the rim with a little bit more touch. Still not Hakeem Olajuwon around there, but there's a little bit more touch. But more importantly, making the right read, the right pass, little stuff like that. He just does better than he did before. But when you take guys like him and you play to their strengths and hide their weaknesses, not only do you obviously get better performances out of them, it elevates their confidence. Guys, particularly role guys, want to know that they're going to be put in the, like LeBron, Luka, Austin Reeves, the three best players on the team, they're going to be asked to do everything, and you better be able to do it. But you shouldn't do that with your role players. And I feel like guys have improved, and when they walk out on the floor, they just look like players who know what it is they're supposed to be doing. And on a night like Monday, when the ball is really moving around, particularly in the first half, ball really moving around, turnovers are limited. I thought the energy was good. I thought the energy defensively was good. You said it in the first segment. They came out, and I think they worked pretty hard. I think they played hard, but I think they really understood the assignment. And all season long, you keep looking for these clues of, oh, good team. Is this a good team? Understanding the assignment, part of a good team. Players showing up on the floor with a palpable sense of knowing what it is they're supposed to be doing, which has not always been the case over the last couple seasons. I think these are all boxes that you check on your "is this a good team" checklist.
Absolutely. I mean, that we'll get into in the next segment. There's a couple things the Lakers did in this game that didn't hurt them. Ultimately, they won this game by 16. But
did the lead ever drop below 10 in the second half?
Not off the top of my head. I don't think so. But there are a couple things that jumped out at me just because, like you said, the standards have raised. So we can get into that coming up next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Prize Picks, Andy. Basketball season is heating up, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With Prize Picks, you just pick more or less on at least two-player projections for a shot at up to 1,000 times your cash, 1,000x your cash. It's easy to use, available in over 30 states, and it lets you mix and match projections across different sports. Like for this week, I am selecting Luka Dončić for more than 25 points and Jason Tatum for more than 8 rebounds. Look, I'm trying to make money here. You can find all these kinds of ways to play the game, different games, different payouts, Taco Tuesday deals. It's a Tuesday, perfect day for that. And you download the app today, use the code LOCKEDONNBA, get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. It's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
One more reminder, the Locked On Lakers newsletter is where you can have the show and tons of great analysis from both us and the Locked On NBA network sent to you every single day. Go to LockedOnDaily.com, click on Locked On Lakers. You're doing us a solid and you're doing yourself a solid at the same time. Solids back and forth for everyone. So yeah, Locked On Lakers, LockedOnDaily.com. Get this newsletter in addition to subscribing and all the other ways you can stay connected to the show. At some point we'll get to Reaves because we really do need to talk about how well he's playing, but you had a couple more points just to show about how first world we're getting here.
Towards the end of the third quarter and the top of the fourth quarter, the Lakers got very 3-point happy. And it wasn't even that the shots were bad or forced. Like a lot of them were actually set up pretty well. The problem is the Lakers were up, I think at one point 28. And there was no need for them to be seeking out threes. Like, in all honesty, it wasn't really even too early to start prioritizing bleeding the clock as opposed to even the shot that you would be looking for. But it felt like they were just seeking out threes, whether because those are in some respects the easiest shots to put up, or they were just trying to absolutely knock out San Antonio, get the lead up to like 35, 37, and then everybody can have an even shorter night. And the problem is they were missing them. San Antonio started running out those misses. They went on a 9-0 run to close the third quarter. Then they scored 5 points quickly to open the fourth. JJ called timeout. I mean, the Lakers got back on track, pushed the lead back up to, again, eventually 16. And there was never any point in this game where I was worried about the Lakers losing.
Mm-hmm.
But really what stood out to me is my expectations that they would play smarter, because the bar for them has raised over the course of the last month or so. And I'm just watching this going like, this is not necessary. I'm not worried you're going to lose the game, other than the idea of a guy playing longer than he should and turning an ankle or something. I'm not even worried about anything disastrous happening. I'm just wondering why you're doing this. Like, you don't need to do this, and I expect more from you.
When you see what they're doing and how Redick talks about it in post-game interviews, in on-court interviews, when they're doing the national TV games, he's asked about what are we doing well, what are we not, all that. I mean, the level of detail in terms of specificity about the little stuff keeps going up. Early in the season, it's like, we're playing hard, we're doing this, whatever. Now it's like we're not, we're missing a few of our coverages on X, Y, and Z. And I didn't love the way that we ran this coming out of the first quarter where we got you can tell they're ramping up to the stuff that matters in the postseason. Like where little mistakes matter, 2 or 3 possessions can tilt a game, all that kind of stuff. Cause I wrote about it for, teasing tomorrow's newsletter. Like, the West is looking really brutal again. I mean, the Lakers got a little bit of break in the sense that Minnesota lost, and on Monday, gives the Lakers a little bit more breathing room. Golden State, I think, lost as well.
They did, to a shorthanded Denver.
Gives the Lakers, no Jokic, no Jamal Murray. Gives the Lakers a little bit more wiggle room to keep.
Going to go out on a limb and predict those guys are going to play the Lakers Wednesday?
Oh, they are absolutely going to. There's no question.
Yeah.
But it gives the Lakers a little bit more wiggle room to make sure they avoid that play-in game. But I mean, 3 games, the 2 through 5 are essentially tied in the Western Conference. Houston started playing well again. They had a remarkable comeback on Monday night. Denver is obviously looking more like themselves, and the Lakers are playing well, and Memphis is a good team. Like, it's really brutal. The Lakers could play very well in the postseason and not get as far as kind of we're all starting to hope that they could. They could still play well and just not get there. It's that hard. But go ahead.
No.
I was just going to say, like, there's just these little things. You can tell they are prepping because they know what's coming. Like, if you're going to beat Denver in a series, if you're going to beat Oklahoma City or Houston or the Warriors with Jimmy Butler and all this stuff, like, those 3 possessions at the end of the third quarter that you can kind of blow off in November, at this point of the season, now you start talking about those things. Now you have to tighten all that stuff up, because that could be the difference between losing and winning a series.
Well, this gets to the other thing that happened in this game, which was not smart, and that was Jared Vanderbilt getting ejected. There was a possession where he was guarding Jeremy Sohan, and he shoved Sohan a couple times during the play itself. Then foul is called. He does a little more shoving and jawing at Sohan. Sohan throws the ball at Vando, at which point Vando gives him a 2-handed shove in the chest. He actually quite literally flexed at Sohan. And look, the 2 of them ended up the double ejection. On one hand, I'm not going to lie, this was hilarious. Like, this was actually very funny. Like, the full range of theatricality from Vando in this moment was, in a vacuum, spectacular. The problem is, though, until we know for a fact Vando will not get suspended because he got ejected.
I don't think he will, but we don't know yet.
I don't think he will.
I'd be very surprised. I don't think that was suspension worthy, but he did.
I don't either.
He did two-hand shove directly into Sohan's chest.
I don't think he will get suspended because, or Sohan for that matter, because neither of them threw a punch. And I agree with you. It is not suspension worthy. But once you get ejected, you put yourself in a position to potentially get suspended. And the Lakers need Vando for this game that certainly will not have LeBron Wednesday against Denver, and in all likelihood will not have Rui. Two of them, not even two of the two most important guys on this team with guarding Jokic. And you want to try to keep this momentum going. And everydayers know I have been as big a Vando proponent. I was talking about his importance on this team well before it was fashionable. I'm a big Vando fan, but it just wasn't smart. In the end, I don't think anything disastrous like him getting suspended is going to happen, and I don't think it's deserved, but it wasn't smart.
Yeah. Before we go, and we'll talk more about this tomorrow, Austin Reaves, I believe you used the John Wick line, Andy.
I'm thinking I'm back.
He is playing with the swagger that you get from Reaves when he feels really good about himself. And I laughed. During the game, I was thinking there was that spin move where he kind of wriggled through, got the and one, and he reminds me sometimes of a hamster or a mouse or a gerbil. You know how because their bodies can collapse, they can
go on.
They can squeeze, a mouse can squeeze through a hole in your wall the size of a pencil.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It's they can just, and suddenly they're through and whatever. Reaves kind of reminds me of that sometimes. He comes out the other end through these tangles of human beings, and with a shot or a foul call or whatever, and unconventional, unorthodox looking ball handling, and the results when he's going well really speak for themselves, and then the shot is falling as well. I just, he has and I mean this in the best way, an arrogance about how he plays when things are going well, where, yes, I know he's never made an all-star team. A lot of people don't think he's an all-star. He's never, whatever. He may never make one. I have no idea, but he damn well thinks he is one. He believes in himself in that way. And, one of the things, maybe the only thing that I was really looking forward to with LeBron out was an opportunity for Reaves to really establish himself, get comfortable with Luka, and then have this confidence down the stretch into the playoffs when LeBron is back.
Well, both the confidence that you're talking about, and I've said before, the word I have not used to describe Austin is arrogance as much as recklessness.
And you've also never called him a gerbil or a hamster.
No, that's all you, baby. I have.
It made sense. It made sense.
No, it did make sense. You landed the plane. I did not know
you
where
were
you were
worried,
going with it, but it worked. But there's a recklessness with the way Austin plays, and also the physicality in that herky-jerky style that he plays that makes him a very difficult cover, just because it's hard to predict exactly what he's going to do. These are the things that I've talked about where I've said he's got a Manu Ginobili style to him, and where the comparisons I think are apt. He is not as good of a player as Manu Ginobili before people start twisting this into a comp between the two. Who's Ginobili's better, but Ginobili was a difficult cover for a lot of the same reasons that Austin is a difficult cover. And Ginobili was a thrilling, unpredictable player in the same way that Austin at his best can be a thrilling, unpredictable, occasionally, dude, don't do that. Hey, he did it.
No.
Popovich talked all the time about how the first couple of years of coaching Manu, he was pulling out the hair that he still had. And then he eventually just realized this is who the dude is. The good is going to outweigh the bad. I am going to have to allow some bleep that I think is frankly insane and irresponsible. And there are times where
100.
Austin does things that walk the line of irresponsible, but he's got that, sort of all shucks persona that I think a lot of, cheery, goofy, cherubic looking white boy, he's really reckless when he's out there. He really is.
He plays with an arrogance that most players around the league can't match, which I get. We're talking about a guy with a well-earned chip on his shoulder. With a lot of NBA players, you can't always, it's like, come on. Now, he's actually earned the chip. So plenty to talk about going into the week. It's obviously a big win for the Lakers. Great turnaround over these last couple of games to right the ship, to keep themselves squarely in that conversation for the top four. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with over 30, almost, what do we call it, 34,000 subscribers at this point. Plenty to talk about. Leave us questions, leave us comments. We'll wrap them into the show. We'll see everyone tomorrow.